But imagine what we can do with that at Wild Earth. You know, we go on a game drive. We're not there yet, but we hope to get there. In the future, we can log exactly how the jigger drove. And if then also we manage to get the GPS stamp or the timestamp on the video that we archive, then any picture that you take from there can automatically be linked to the exact position where the jigger was at the time that the picture was taken. So you can make maps like this. You can make leopard territories from there, basically just as far as your imagination takes you. And that's just why I wanted to show you just to give you a kind of idea about why we are so actually going on about this GPS thing. It's not just that, you know, we can follow the jigger around. That's nice, but it's so much more than that. There's other pictures I took there. Elephants at the waterhole. Warthogs, zebra. So you see, and what I'm showing you now is actually just a small sampling of what Google Earth can do. Let me see, they have something else set up here. The nice thing about what I actually like about Google Earth, and I've showed it to people already, is actually I'm not going to take long about it, but I just want to show you that, if I can find it. It's one of my favorite places in Google Earth, actually. Let's go all the way up to Kenya, Tanzania. This little kink in the border here. You see, it's all flat land with one huge mountain in it. And I think some of you will be able to guess which one it is. It says it here now, Kilimanjaro. But this is just also to illustrate the 3D properties of Google Earth. Now, if I change my perspective rather than from looking up, because of course it has also logged the altitude data. So you should actually start seeing, just zoom in a little bit. Sometimes a bit tricky to get this right. Oh. It looks like, that's again, as I mentioned earlier, the Germans say the Vorführ effect. When you want to show something, it doesn't work. I think I've switched off the altitude measurement in Google Earth for now. But anyway, that's something if you want to do, you can try it yourself, and it's actually fascinating. In a lot of cities, people have added 3D versions of buildings. So if, for instance, you want to have a look at Manhattan in New York or London, center of London, and you switch that layer on, then you will actually see little maquettes of all the skyscrapers that are there. So yeah, this is fascinating stuff. Okay, but enough about Google Earth for now. I just wanted to give you some idea about its opportunities, and I see it's already 3:25. But I did start a bit late, so I'm just going to talk a little bit longer. So how does all this thing now link into conservation and conservation and helping animals and things like that? Well, one of the things is what I mentioned about mapping territories. In the past, people would color animals, and then this would be radio color. So the only way to find the animal itself would be to actually go out, hike after it, and find it, come close enough, a bit like we do when we walk, actually, in that sense, and point your radio antenna, and then you can determine the position of the animal. You can imagine that takes a lot of work, and you only get, especially if you have secretive animals in big areas, you only get a couple of data points. Nowadays, most animals that are colored with GPS colors. And how that works is, every day, for instance, you can program that, but every day at 12 o'clock or 3 times a day, the color actually determines the position in the same way that normal GPS receivers do, and it stores it in a memory inside the color. And then just I typically have enough memory for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So every 2 or 3 weeks, the researcher takes up in a little small airplane with a big antenna, and it flies over it, and then it can fly from the top, and actually as soon as it locates the animal that way, which is much easier to do from the top, as soon as the antenna makes contact with the GPS collar, all the data in one big burst, all the data from a month long of position is actually downloaded into the computer of the researcher, and then with only tracking the animal once, he's got the information of a month's worth of locations of the animal. So that is makes defining territories and tracking movements of animals It gives you a lot more options, and it's also much less invasive for the animal itself, because it's not being tracked all the time, and because with the radio antennas you have to get quite close to it. So that's one way that, for instance, GPS technology can aid in animal research. Other things, some of it is research conservation, but others also for creating people's interest and creating more information about animals. For instance, about distribution ranges, where you're not following one specific animal, but you want to know, I don't know, for instance, what is the distribution range of the hooded vulture? And does it change over time? So, let me see, then I must go to, for instance, here, Natural World. Just a bit later I typed in all the links in a Word document, and that I will put up on the screen in a very big font, and I'll leave it on for a little bit so you can copy it. And I'll probably also see if I can put it in on the website in the thread, so that you can have a look at those websites as well. Natural World is a really nice database. Actually, that's where I showed you all my bird sightings. They come from this database here. Let me just put the computer screen back on. And the link for that is www.networld.org. Not .com, but .org. It's important, otherwise you get the wrong website. And people can just, if they go out birding with the GPS, they can send in their data, either enter it one by one or from a big Excel spreadsheet. And then those data are entered in a database, as you can see here. Again, based on the GPS location of the sightings. And there are a lot of things that you can select that you want to be shown. I mentioned actually the example of the hooded vulture, so let's stick with that. I say vulture, not Cape vulture, but hooded vulture. And I click on display. Then it starts looking for all these hooded vulture sightings in its database. And then there's a couple of things that come up. And again, as with Google Earth, you can select how much you want to see or not want to see. You can see all these yellowish squares here. That's actually a distribution map according to the first Bird Atlas project. So this is where it's supposed to go. And since the database has started, because of course this GPS technology and people using it is not that long, at least not the very intense use of it. All these dots here are sightings of people watching it. And you can see most are centered around South Africa. So also here I can zoom in if I want to. Let me just do that quickly. Zoom in a little bit on this area. And you can see we are here somewhere. So there are a lot of sightings around this area in the Kruger Park, obviously. So if I click on, okay, there's bird sightings. The Bird Atlas project, for instance, also encourages people to go in one area like this, and then for a whole day, or at least now for the new project, 2 hours, record all the birds that they see. And so you can also get a bit of an idea about how often common birds are. So if I like for Sabab 1 ask for the reporting rate, I will get on which percentage of cards that people entered, they saw this bird. So if you go look here, in this area, for all the cards that have been submitted, and 32% of them actually people had seen the hooded vulture. Here it's only 1%, here it's 13%, 37%, 54%. So this is actually quite a good area. Again, if you want to go look for birds, this is a good area probably to go look for that. Again, just a couple of applications of GPS. And again, here, as with the other thing, you can select, I want to show the highways or the country outline or sightings or national parks. It also gives, let me just see, some information about the species that you're looking for. Afrikaans name, scientific name, some information about how common it is, what habitat it lives. And this is all freely available on the internet. You must just register, but it doesn't cost you anything. They don't ask for your credit card to register or anything. Also, any raptor or bird of prey that is seen and entered in this, automatically the sighting is sent through to the Endangered Wildlife Trust, the Birds of Prey working group of that. So they also benefit from all the people, and basically in that sense what they call citizen scientists. They just do that for their own fun and to keep their own birding up to date. Actually, conservation groups actually benefit from that because they don't have to go looking for the birds, and they still get a lot of information about the birds. The screen just went off there. Sometimes it does that, so I'll just switch it on as soon as it comes back.